though. Like, so I know it's crazy because I know what y'all talking about. So it's organic though.
That latency.
It's organic. So you know what I mean? Ride that wave. Ride that wave.
Let's go.
And with that being said, and we are live.
Sound minds.
Let's go. Let's
Let's
go.
get it. Let's go.
Hey,
It is
hey,
Sunday.
we had Sound Minds be followed up with the let's go, let's go. And listen, we coming in with a bunch of energy tonight, family. We got a world-class motivational speaker here that already followed up with the let's go, let's go. He came in with that energy early, man. Let's go.
This is this is the equivalent of when planets collide. You know what I mean? When planets collide, you get nothing more but just more godliness. So at the end of the day, this right here, this episode is exactly that. As we always tell you, the product can't get no, it'll never get worse. It'll only get better. You know what I mean? So last Sunday and the Sundays before that and the Sundays before that, they were what they were in their own lanes. And this Sunday right here is not going to be any different. So when I say this name, you'll fully understand why, right? Just based off of the fact that he's about his business. You know what I mean? He goes by the name Mr. Hard Work Grind. To have a name like that, you need to understand that the work is getting put in the dirt and fully rooted so that we can see them trees grow. My man, your man, you need to go follow this king right here, because truth of the matter is that this is what we need, especially in the times that we're dealing with right now. This is the Mr. Motivator himself, Mr. Tremaine France. Round of applause, y'all.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's
Team
go.
destined for greatness. Let's go. Let's go. Salute, Kings.
Early. Appreciate you being here. Make sure y'all hit that like button. We got Tremaine France, Mr. Hard Work Grind. You're about to get a lot of energy, a lot of inspiration, a lot of empowerment out of this podcast tonight, family. Make sure you hit that like button. Let's go. Okay, we got...
If you don't know, we on Facebook, we on YouTube. I mean, the simplest thing you could do is tell people SoundMindsHipHop.com. And if they look confused after that, you need to get them off of your playlist. You need to get them off of your top 10 call numbers. In an emergency, they're not going to be good for you. Don't depend on them. Other than that, if they rock with you, SoundMindsHipHop.com. We on Facebook. We on YouTube Live. And you know whose comments we taking? Yours, baby. We want to see your comments. We want to see your gems. That's what it's all about. It's not all about us. It's about the constellation.
1,000%.
Constellation.
1,000%. So Mr. France.
Y'all to let it shine bright.
Yes, sir. So Tremaine, we here with you, brother. We 4 boxes. You know what I mean? Make it one whole box, and at the end of the day, right now, we building within the whatever it is the energy is going to bring. That's what we building upon. But at the same time, we would love for you to explain who you are, give your proper introduction, so that the world can understand who it is that we dealing with today, who we talking to.
Oh, that's an honor, King. That's an honor. Well, as you mentioned, I go by Mr. Hard Work Grind, but my mother named me Tremaine Christopher France, and that's a husband. That's a father. That's a leader. That's an entrepreneur. That's a motivational mogul. That's an author. But when it's all said and done, I'm a God-fearing, Christ-accepting king that knows who I am. And that process of me identifying who I am has been a journey. And day by day, I'm still learning who I am. But one thing is for sure is that I know I am somebody. You know, so how did I get to that place of me knowing that I am somebody? It's just, you know, from a young June, a young king, it was like, I didn't know who I was, but I knew I wanted to be somebody. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I know I wanted to do something. And to God be the glory for my mother, for my father, for my family, my support system that helped shape, mold, and guide me to become the king that I am. So that's a little bit without the titles, without the long story. But yeah, we super solid over here, Kings.
Powerful, powerful. And to even add to that, because when he says, I know who I am, I know who this brother is too. We have actually worked together, been in the studio together. We got the hip hop and motivate videos dropping soon. Listen, I've been with this brother. I've seen this brother work, and I want to give him just a small introduction of your work with the video that I found of you, even using the song that we created together called I Am Great.
I start from good.
Hold on one second. Let me fix that. The screen didn't share.
Get ready for greatness.
Let's go. All right, y'all got it now. Here we go.
I start from good to great. Next level. Talk to him. What?
I feel good. I am great.
Yes, you are.
I feel good.
Be great.
I am great.
I said the time is now. For each and every listener to activate your great. I said activate your great.
He said, "Activate your greatness."
Let's go.
He said, "Activate your greatness."
Let's go.
My brother Tremaine France, man, Mr. Hard Work Grind. My first question for you in that same tone of greatness. Where did you come up with the, let's say, the I am great chant? Where did that all come from to actually be used for motivation, and the way that you use this I am great, I am, you know what I mean, I am greatness, striving for greatness motivation here. Where did that come from?
Well, I love what Dr. Miles Monroe says. He says that purpose comes from within. So along my journey, I've just been navigating and in search of what that purpose is for me. And a lot of that has been through trial and error. A lot of that has been through exploring. And as I've been exploring through athletics, as I've been exploring through living, as I've been exploring through public speaking, as I've been exploring just as a man, that I am has been maturing. June Archer says, I reached out to him about 10 years ago. He said, I see it. I see something in you. He says, I hear you. But when you find your voice, that's when you're going to really have greater impact. So I took this willingness and this pursuit of finding that treasure chest within me. And then I said, okay, I know that I am somebody. I know that I do want to do something. I've always had a talent. I've always had a skill, but I had to work it. I had to mature it. I had to manifest it into something. And then I said, okay, now I'm working. I'm not only a student athlete, but I'm a high performer. I'm not only a solid king, but I know who I am. And now my responsibility is, how can I go encourage other people to do that? And it wasn't just from a cool, like, yeah, go be great. It was like, no, do it with the authority. Do it within a manner that it can ignite somebody else's greatness. So it started off as me in pursuit of who I am. And then it went from me, I'm realizing that I am somebody and I want to do great things, to how can I go inspire and empower other people to do that? And the pain produced that passion, right? The experiences, the trials and errors, the battle scars that then became beauty marks. It now gives you almost like that lion. If you ever seen an image of a lion, the one that got the scars on their face, but they've been through some things and they super solid. Sometimes it has been my pains and my battle scars that have now produced an even more powerful roar. When I'm saying you are somebody, and yes, there's somebody out there who might tell you are somebody from an even keel tone. But then when you meet somebody like me who's been through the fire, when you meet somebody like me who can not only turn up in the gym, and not only turn up athletically, but can turn up when it comes to the jungle and the safari of life, that's when that dynamite, that stick of dynamite So I'm not hitting you with just let's go, let's go. I'm hitting you with a let's go because of what I went through. And I'm hitting you with that let's go because I know that you are going through or growing through something. And sometimes we keeping it too cool. Sometimes we got to flip the switch and say, okay, let me dig a little bit deeper so that I can overcome that whisper in the ear that tells me I ain't somebody. So I can overcome that conversation that somebody told me that doing good was good enough. No, doing good is good enough, but you were created to be great. So let's go, let's go.
Yo, that
Fire,
remind me
fire.
of Jay-Z had a quote where he said, "How can I help the poor if I'm one of them?"
Come
And I
on.
remember one of my mentors told me, she said, yo, and she wasn't talking about anybody in particular, but she was talking about with me. You know what I mean? Even though she wasn't talking about me, I realized it hit me. If the shoe fits, wear it, right? And you get to that point where you just like, damn, I gotta be about what I'm talking about. I can't just, you know what I'm saying? And that's another reason to be a star and somebody's consolation. When you shine for them, you realize you gotta shine bright for yourself too, because it only benefits them. She said this, right? She said, you know, there's these people that are on, they trying to be fitness coaches, but they eating all the sugar and they doing all these things, how they advising people. Then she says something personally. She said there's people that be like trying to learn all these things and they always educated in school and everything, and they get in these courses and they always figure out how to get information for free, but they never pay for the information and they never really study it because it comes so easy to them. And I was like, yo, I don't think I've been paying for anything in like 3 years. And that's when I first started putting a lot of money into my education, taking it seriously. You talking about a brother right here that's physically fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit. He's talking, even when you said the treasure chest, my brother went like this. If you catch on replay, play, he said the treasure chest. So he's talking about what I call congruence, right? Treasure chest is just treasure in general. It could be here, but he also said treasure chest. So it's like a bar. When you can speak in bars and every meaning of the word is manifested, it's just building extra momentum on everything you do. So that's what we feel like you bring into the podcast today. A little something called congruence. Congruence.
Fire. Tremaine, I got a follow-up question, brother. Because let's be real, man. Throughout historics, right? The true leaders, the ones that lead the army and the battalions, are those of which that earned that right. You know what I'm saying? And they earned that through, like you said, going through the fire, but as well as showing that they could get themselves out the fire, but as well as the rest of their family or their unit out the fire. With that being said, what is your personal take on the fact that for somebody to reach their greatness, right? Do you feel that anybody who is a follower or a shadow of somebody else could ever reach their greatness or only hit their potential? Whereas this true leader is always the one that leads by example and as well as doesn't care to follow nobody else, but understands that when you have a unit behind you, you got to lead by your leadership and lead by the actions of what you put forth.
Great question. See, the thing is, everyone's a leader. Everyone has leadership in them. And if everyone embraces the fact that they're a leader, right, and they're not, then the role isn't necessarily to control people, but to lead. So you be your best leader. And all four of us are leaders in our own right, in our own mind, in our own belief. And when we're coming together, we're sharpening each other. When we coming together, we building each other. So yes, there's a time to lead and a time to follow, but everybody's a leader. I'm a leader, but there's a time for me to follow. I'm a leader, but there's a time for me to listen. There's a time to listen and time to speak. Right? I told my son the other day, he was watching me as I was in the lab doing lab work. He said, Daddy, what you doing? I said, I'm listening and learning. Right? And that's from me knowing who I am. The other thing is, love them or not, lions only moving with a certain pack, right? And they're really taking care of their tribe. But one thing about a lion, another lion gonna salute another lion. Even with the eagle analogy, and it's talking about, your altitude. Eagles only rolling with eagles. You see what I'm saying? So leaders necessarily going to observe and be observant of another leader. We're going to salute another leader. Even if we agree to disagree, it's always going to be that respect. But those who are inferior, those who have embraced necessarily this peasant, less than mentality of I'm not qualified, I'm not anyone, that's when you start seeing that friction, because then you'll get who you think you are. Well, if you knew who you were, you would appreciate that I know who I am. But don't get me going on that. So that whole process of knowledge of self comes from up top, and it's okay to be able up top and within, right? And that process necessarily is progressional. Who I thought I was, I didn't even scratch the surface, right? So I'm way better as a king. I'm way more mature at 37 than I was at 27. But I know that I ain't done. At 47, God willingly, let's go. I should be wiser. I should have more energy. I should have more passion. I should have impacted more lives. My influence should have expanded and grown, right? So leaders are able to be in the now, but also project in the future and say, okay, my next 10 years, if you think I'm good now, wait till you see me in 10 years. And then the ultimate game changers are going to say, I know I'm awesome. I know I'm great, but guess what? You three kings are awesome and great too. And if you are continually in pursuit of becoming greater, that's how we see change, because change starts with us. Leadership starts within, and then we project that out.
And in the words of, I think that we have in the chat, the Queen Mama France in here. Good follow up, son. Good follow up.
Let's go, Queen.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that's a blessing, man. Moms is watching, man. And with that being said, too, right? And I think it's very important what you just said. Your whole backbone, your whole everything your DNA seems to be a part of, and I'm just meeting you now, is about impacting. It's about changing the lives of others. And that's one thing that I feel that people don't understand. What differentiates leaders from those that are not is exactly that. Because it's one thing to put something, it's one thing to Jim Jones, right? When you Jim Jones and you poison your own people without no care of what happens. But when you impact that leadership, that's the true value of a true king, because they understand that that crown that sits on their head is never one of which that was just put there just for titles. It was there because you understand that whatever you do, the actions in which you are involved with and conflict others with is based off of impact. So I want to shout you out for that, brother. And I want to definitely salute you for even caring 10 years from now when you're 47, the fact that you want to impact others, not just do for self, where the selfishness, and it's funny, I made a lot of this just recently, do for self, where you're just trying to get the gains of whether it be, attention or money or finances or whatever it is. You're sitting here saying, nah, I'm cool with that, but I need to impact others. I need to change the world to make changes for what I see as necessary. So shout out to you, King. I love that. Yeah.
Another follow-up question to what you spoke of earlier. Your I am great motivational speech to yourself, it's like confirmation to yourself, and when you confirm that with yourself, I want to ask, do you do that every day? Do you do that every day?
Especially in the storm.
Yes.
Especially in the storm, especially when I'm on rock bottom, especially when the enemy at work, especially when I tore my Achilles, especially when the enemy was trying to go through my wife, especially when the enemy was trying to go through my children, especially when the enemy was at work in my career, especially when COVID hit, especially when they said unemployment as an entrepreneur was about to get shaky. I had to go in that bathroom and say, I am somebody. I am qualified. I am successful. I am a game changer. I am a king. I am a great husband. I am a great father. I am a great leader. Let's go. Let's go. So when I tell you, when you ask that question, on my best day, I might be cool with it. Yeah, I am.
Right.
But in the fire, when my character is challenged, and my integrity is challenged, and my family is challenged, and my legacy is challenged, and my faith is challenged, I am God-fearing, Christ-accepting. Let's go, let's go. because I know what that felt like trying it on my own. I know what that felt like being 23 and thought I was somebody, but I was characteristically insecure.
Mm-hmm.
I was ethically weak. I hid behind the bravado of I was a student athlete and I could go bench 375 and squat 485, but I was a womanizer, a cheater, a player. I realized that I was down for a cause that didn't have no meaning when I was talking about, why are you in college banging crit? But I was in search of brotherhood. I was in search of fellowship. I was in search of camaraderie, but I had to just take, so the creator's so dope, he could take something that might not even make sense to the normal mind and say, you know what? In that season, I gave you that through banging, but now that all of you kings have grown up, now y'all got a brotherhood, now y'all going and changing lives. So now you could go in the hood and get that lingo, but now add empowerment to it. So now I talk to the homies who banging, and I get that salute, because sometimes within leadership, actually all the time, you got to lead with love. Regardless of what your faith is, regardless of what set you in, regardless of what neighborhood you from, if you lead with love, everything else you'll be given grace, right? You'll be given that pass. You ain't even supposed to be here, homie. Who are you? But because you came in love and respect, you get that extra pass, and that gotta be the same thing with leadership. Now I will say this: just because you give love and because you give grace, that don't mean that you gotta waiver your negotiables. You feel me? Certain things that's 37 ain't gonna ride no more like they rode when I was 27. Because my legacy's on that now. And I ain't gotta take that up with you three kings. I gotta take that up with somebody who way tougher, doper, realer than us. You feel me?
Legacy. It's a word in which many don't understand the true meaning behind it. When, again, I've said this so many times on this podcast and various episodes. When we live for the flesh, we live merely for potential. We understand that the flesh, the bone, the blood is nothing more than the physical. Legacy is the epitome of what the existence of why we even here should ever be, right? Because truth of the matter is, when we are no longer here laying in caskets or wherever we're laying, what our name holds, and that's what you was just talking about right now. When you talk about character, when you talk about integrity, when you talk about morale, if yours is never intact or yours is not intact and it's shaky, then it doesn't matter that you the flavor of the moment. You know what I mean? But that goes so quick as you got it, it could leave. But your legacy is what always breathes way past you stop. You know what I mean? Once you're no longer breathing, your legacy should always be breathing for you. So with that being said, man, how do you, being a brother who seems like you had your own experiences and seems like you definitely been within the negative turmoil as well, how do you speak from a standpoint of been there, done that, right? Now I'm trying to uplift and empower. And with that being said, some people don't understand the true beauty of legacy, the true existence of legacy, and why we should be breathing in the first place.
Great question. That's for meeting people where they're at. If you meet people where they're at and you say, I might meet you here, but I ain't staying here. If I gotta come down, right? If I gotta come down and you still whatever banging, if you still, you know what I mean, smoking your weed, if you still really turning up, and I'm not better. So it's not about, that's the whole judgment. I'm never judging nobody. I ain't gonna judge you, King. I ain't gonna judge you. I'm gonna love you. But after I meet you and I connect with you and I'm willing to seek the understanding, we gotta grow from here. So that's how I'm able to say, look, your story might be different than mine. So let me come off whatever moral pedestal that I might place myself on. If you feel like you know about
Just had a little breakup real quick in the service. It's coming back. Hold on. Run it back. We can't hear you yet. Yo, we can't hear you. Yeah, something happened with the audio. Nah, it cut out completely. Oh, they cutting the.
So I'm gonna tell you straight off the bat, this is exactly what happens when you speak truth and you build with real kingship. See, when it gets too
They
real,
don't like this.
at all, at all. So while Tremaine is getting his
Yeah,
audio, while he's
go
getting
out,
that
go
done,
out and come back in. Go out and come back in.
They don't like this one.
so while
Told
the
you we
king,
bringing that heat, man.
while
The Black Messiah.
while
They don't like the Black
while the
Messiah.
kings are out here breaking frequencies, right? Because truth will always be louder than your
Yeah.
lies.
Try to go out
So-
and come back in.
Oh man, see?
Was it when he said let's go? Was it when he emphasized the let's as a group?
Right.
Was it when he said I don't judge people when I uplift them, but I reach down and say I'm here and I'm your brother, and when you trying to jump up out here, but I ain't gonna drag you up and I ain't gonna step on you.
I'm gonna give
what
you
is
my
it that
theory,
y'all
right? And I
hate?
think it's about construction. When you construct rather destruct and there's no destruction involved with men of color, that's when it becomes a threat. That's when you become, talk to me, Tremaine, you up there? Go ahead, brother. Let's see if we can hear you.
Unmute yourself. Unmute. Unmute. You muted. Mic check. Mic check. No. Oh man, it's not there. Where's his audio?
It's crazy.
Oh, what happened to the audio? Let me see something. I don't
The aliens abducted that one, man. They definitely interfered with that pass. So that's what probably, for the most, not probably my fault. That's what definitely happens when you have men of color who are supposed to be destroying themselves. And if we were sitting here talking about how dope we are and how dope our sneakers are, whatever we got on, this would have never been interrupted at all. You know what I'm saying? But the Wi-Fi was good. He was speaking that truth. We was out here building, and all of a sudden now it goes silent, right? Because that's what happens.
Audio was clear.
Right. You know what I mean?
It just completely cuts out, man. That's wild, man.
So listen.
Text him, tell him to restart his whole computer, cause that's what happened to me before. I decided to restart my whole computer.
The enemy is very funny.
FBI is out
The
here,
enemy
man.
is very funny, Miss France.
Bro, the Freedom of Information Act in 10 years, they're gonna be like, yeah, we was watching that SoundMinds hiphop.com show. That's the dangerous
I hear
topic.
helicopters around my house already, man. This is what it is. So listen, while Mr. France is coming back, because we're gonna build and listen, man, even the little interruptions is never gonna stop greatness. So while that's happening, I made a live saying that I was gonna make 2 announcements. Here's the first of my first announcements. And while Mr. Tremaine comes back on, when he do come back on, we're going to keep on putting those building blocks on because, as Ms. France said, the enemy is funny at all times. So we just going to laugh at you.
France, you keeping us alive, too. Do not leave till we done. You were empowering this whole episode. We feeling you. We see every comment on the side of our joint. Shout out to
Word
Ms.
up. Yeah,
it's
so the first announcement. For some years now, I want to say about 8 to 9 now, I've been trying to put something out. Idea was kind of like thrown, and for whatever reason, it ain't happened. It is, things. I'm not even gonna say enemy is funny. Things just don't happen. What I will say is, Lightskin is currently looking for an artist, a visual artist, animator who can work on putting up this video. I already got everything scripted out and written out. The blueprint's already done. You don't even got to break your head on that. It's just a matter of getting a dope animator to put this video out, and let's change the world together. Since we are in the vein of what Mr. Tremaine France, Mr. Hard Work Grind is talking, let's change the world together. And I'm also looking for artists to work on these children's books to put that out. So that, for the most part, again, trying to change the world. The idea of the books is so fire that whoever is serious inquiries only, let's make it happen. Let's make let's make this world a better place, not only for us, but for our children. Mr. France, talk to us. Are you back in the building?
So like you looking to hire somebody, right? This is like a paid
unmute
gig
yourself.
somewhat.
Unmute. Can we hear you?
Tremaine, He's frozen.
It's frozen.
Yeah.
Bear with us, family. Bear with us. Nothing yet.
Yo, Tremaine, also try on your phone too. Sometimes if the computers ain't working, this app works very well on the
He's on the
phone.
iPhone.
He's on an iPhone. Maybe some headphones will
okay.
work.
Try. Yeah, maybe
But it seems like it's freezing up now. Now it's not even the audio only.
Yeah, now it's not the audio. It's the connection.
Crazy. The devil works in mysterious ways. Raz Clyde.
Yeah, man, this is wild. Well, while we wait for him to do that, let's play a clip of our brother Tremaine, friend.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
There you go. Try to mute that.
Yeah, they still gonna get this motivation early. Watch this. Just listen to this.
Best. So I invested into the coaching, and we invested a couple thousand. The back end is what I'm really in the and what Nip said, the marathon. As entrepreneurs, you have to invest in yourself. You crushing the gym, looking good. You got the tummy tuck, you got the butt implants, but are you happy? Do you know who you are? The intrinsic value. There are key elements to you, queen, and you, queen, and you, queen, and you, king, and you, king. There are key elements that can really make you holistically happy. I salute being financially free, but if you are emotionally unhappy, broken, negative, odds are we're not going to build. We could probably only help our children get to goodness, because at some point in time, they got to want it. Yeah. We could lead the way, we could pour into them, we could pray into them, but at some point in time, they're going to have to do their part. As entrepreneurs, you got to do your part. We can look at Diddy and say, "Ooh, Diddy, you killing them." Any of the dope queens who you respect and say, "You killing them, you doing your thing, you're successful." However, along that journey, did it make you become a better person? Don't tell me about how much money you made. Tell me about, are you holistically whole and wealthy? Don't tell me like, okay, you got 8 figures. I see you got the nice house, and I seen some mansions. I hope that mansion isn't cold. I was working on my morals, my values, and my principles so that I could be a stand-up guy, 10 toes down in my household. You have to be confident to a certain degree. But that confidence comes from the preparation. That confidence comes from the knowledge you get. And then that confidence comes from implementing what you know. Really put you in a position of financial freedom. Really put you in a position of not just being married, but happily married. Not just being a parent, but a successful parent. See, as an entrepreneur, you got to know that sometimes you're going to grow in that season. And sometimes you're going to outgrow that season. And sometimes you're going to outgrow that network. And sometimes you're going to outgrow those friendships. However, my question is, what did you learn? If we keep our perspective in alignment, everything else will follow. See, just like we need a blueprint and a business plan for your business as an entrepreneur, we need that for our life. Entrepreneurs.
Powerful.
Crazy.
Let's bring him back in. Let's see if his audio on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, he's back.
My mother said we must have been making the enemy mad. But sometimes we can't get an enemy that much glory. The truth of the matter is, I got my cell phone attached to my Wi-Fi, to the Bluetooth of my car, and my wife went to the car and was like, "Yo, like I heard everything in the car." So yeah. So that was just technical. Sometimes it ain't the enemy. Sometimes it's just technical difficulties.
Right.
Sometimes it's the friend of me.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
Come
I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna just put it on the enemy because what you were speaking and when you were spitting the way you was, the timing of it was so crazy. So we gonna go with the Bluetooth, but we all know that there's various things that work within the sound waves of whenever you speaking the truth. You know what I'm saying? So
Brittany cracked the whole egg. She said the devil is a lie. That said everything. That said everything we said. It was.
Come on,
Tremaine, get back to you, brother.
I am the truth.
There's a little bit of lag, so
Tremaine, you talking about congruence? You talking about coming through adversity and not using it as a justification of the nonsense, but actually as more evidence that we could overcome everything. Could we ask you to go on that tangent a little bit more in terms of like so many people say because this, because this, because that, and then you get to a certain level. We was just watching a clip, Rasham just played you speaking to entrepreneurs, and you saying not just married but happily married, not just a parent but a successful parent. It seems like people try to come up with these reasons to stay stuck in homeostasis. And what I hear you saying is you picture, you vision where you're supposed to be, and then you let the reasons lead up to that. You don't use reasons and rationales for where you're not supposed to be, right? Because you can have reasons and rationales all day leading you truthfully to the wrong place. So tell us more about that.
Oh my goodness. So there's value even in having a support system. Let me say that. Because when you got a support system, sometimes even when you want to go down that rational, when you got the right people in your corner, even like a boxer, and you like, yo, they real, like they giving me their best shot, and I low-key might want to throw in that white towel. When you got a team in your corner that say, we took their best shot, let's go, ding, ding, get back out there. Sometimes that's what you're talking about. Like, I'm not perfect. My situation ain't perfect, but it's my outlook, it's my mentality, it's my belief, it's my faith, and it's my support system that says we know what we hitting for, right? So, and then you got to be open to game. I got that, I got that game about not just being married. Being married is cool, but OG hit me with that. And I was like, can you marry? He was like, yeah, I'm married. He's like, I've been married. But he said, yeah, I'm married. He said, but I'm not just married, I'm happily married. I said, ooh. And he said it from like an OG place, like 36 years of marriage, young king. And I was like, so even as a young bull, even as a young king, you got to stay inspired. You got to be hopeful that it's possible for you to not only be married, but happily married. You got to be hopeful and faithful that that it is possible for you not only to have children, but for your children to love you and respect you and admire you like a superhero, right? So those are my bullseyes. Those are my, in business, they talk about scaling up and scaling out. Sometimes we need to scale up and scale out in our own household. You can project out 5 years, 10 years for your business, but you can't do that with your relationship with your kids. Like me and my kids right now, we aight. But if we work on it, and if I invest in the time, right? Me and my wife, we going through the mud right now. But if I come up with a strategy, if we come up with a strategy, a system, this day that she on my nerves, a year, 2 years from now, if we work our system, we could be happily married. You feel me? So those are certain things that even in the midst, even when King was talking about like your I ams, are you like, do you say those every day? Same thing with what we talking about now. Even in the midst of the ish, even in the midst of the mud, I'm still projecting that we gonna come on. I told my queen the other day when she on my last nerve, I had to remind her I ain't going nowhere. Like we up in the bed, like, and she knows she on my nerves right now, right? But
wait, hold up. When you say you ain't going nowhere, right?
Talk to me.
Let's go deeper into this tangent, because you know what show this is. This is Don't Miss Any More Gems. This is the Sound Minds Hip Hop. This is Sound Minds Sunday 7 podcast. We on YouTube, Facebook, like Life can always says, we ready for the world to hear this. This isn't playtime. So we go into the heart of the matter. You said you told your wife, you looked at her and her eyeballs underneath her eyebrows, and you said, I ain't going nowhere with a straight face. A lot of people say, oh, I'm married or I'm not married. I'm a parent or I'm leaving my kids. I got this job or I'm leaving the job. If I understand what you're saying, you talking about leaving the current state of your marriage and going to a supercharged state of that marriage. Leaving the current state of your family kid relationship and improving it with the same kids, leaving the current state of your community and your job, but not leaving that physical place, but going into a new mental, spiritual connection with it. Talk to us about that.
That's the fight
on
back.
A daily basis.
That's the fight back. Like so often we fighting back battles that we don't even need to be fighting. But the battles that we need to fight, we be cool with it. Oh, that's just how. No, it ain't supposed to be that way. You gotta fight back for your marriage. You gotta fight back for your kids. My kids be on my last nerve. My kids be like, yo, like, I got 2 queens and a young king. And I'm like, you see, I don't got no hair up top, but I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. And I ain't going nowhere for me, and I ain't going nowhere for you, but I ain't going nowhere for us. No cap. Right? So and that's part of my responsibility. Like, and I love even because like right now I'm going through this leadership mentorship development process with OG Dr. Miles Monroe. And if you don't know, just YouTube him. He a guru. He's super dope. And he said, Kings, he said sometimes we want to be the face of the family. We want to be the face of the situation when sometimes we just got to be the foundation. We got to be the foundation. We got to be super solid in our foundation. So even when I went through some of the mud with my most recent situations, I spoke to my network and they reminded me like, yo, King, don't forget that you're the foundation. Don't forget what you're fighting for. Ding, ding, ding. Get back in the ring. Round 8. You know, so when I'm doing those things and I'm affirming that I'm not going nowhere, when I'm affirming that I am somebody, like you said, King, is like, I'm taking myself even out of my mental space sometimes. I'm taking myself especially out of my emotional space because emotionally, that's what get us. Emotionally, when we feeling tired, when we feeling upset, when we feeling disappointed, when we feeling disqualified, when we feeling discouraged, it's like that's the thoughts that play in our mind. Then after those feelings is what we project out. So if I'm feeling in the mud, if I'm feeling less than, if I'm feeling broke, if I'm feeling broken, if I'm feeling that, what you think I'm telling myself? But the power comes from overriding that. I might be hurt. I might be angry. But I'm going to override that by my words because the power comes from the tongue. So I'm affirming that I am great. I'm affirming that I'm not going nowhere, even though I might be justified. You might have violated me to the point where I should be tapping out. But for the legacy, for the bigger picture, for the bigger win, I ain't going nowhere.
Well, you know what I was going to say, B? The gems in this one, right? So I'm gonna put it out there. Disclaimer. We could probably edit it and put the words in so people could read and say visually I seen it. But nah, we ain't gonna do all that. Just listen to me when I say it. Disclaimer. This is for real kings. This is for the real that is made of that fabric and that DNA. SoundMinds. So before I say this, if I hurt feelings, man, then deal with your emotions later on. If you want to hit me up, then we could do that. When you say build for your queen and build for your children, you're talking about, see, here's the thing, man, back in the day, and we all know historically, man, even especially in our black and brown houses, a lot of male figures would get the big pork chop or the big chicken just because they're males. We're not doing that no more. You need to deserve and earn that. So at the end of the day, you can't get the big chicken if you ain't putting no food on the table. If you out there doing whatever you're doing selfishly to earn yours just to get that flesh fulfilled, but you're not doing enough to build your family, to build your queen, especially when the queens is out there doing it hard body and for the whole unit, for the whole tribe, are out there hustling, doing what they got to do to get back to this child, to do this for the other child, to get back. And when the selfishness of the person within does not allow you to see that greatness within your queen, then this type of talk ain't for you. Now, what I want to say is, when you just said, I ain't going nowhere, that's not off of comfort. And I could tell that. That's more so off of, I ain't going nowhere because no battle, no storm that is thrown at us is going to break us. Because when you talk about foundation, we all heard the story, cornballish or not, we all heard the story of the 3 pigs. And we knew which ones were able to survive that because they didn't use the straw houses. They didn't use the plastic houses. They used the brick houses that kept themselves protected. If you ain't using no straight brick or steel for your foundation is going to get blown up as soon as you turn around. But the sad part is when we start thinking about, damn, there's another man in my house taking care of my children or taking care of my wife because I wasn't doing it right and correctly. Don't start reflecting when you no longer have. While you have, reflect so that you could build a stronger foundation than what you currently have right now. Because truth is, Not everybody is destined for that greatness within a family. Some people can't even have families. So when you have the luxury of being a part of a family, please preserve that as best you could.
And that's easier said than done, King. Like, if we really going to take the next step, marriage ain't easy, King. Raising a family and laying those bricks down, it might be easier to actually go do the work from the physical building a mansion than it is to build your family mansion. It might be easier to go do the manual labor than it is to do the spiritual labor, to do the mental labor. You see what I'm saying? The emotional labor.
It is.
Right? It's so too much is given, much is required. Right? So now even when you think about like kingdom talk, even when you think about family, like that's a major responsibility, but it's one of the utmost gifts that you could be given to appreciate work, value, and then give to somebody else. We giving it right now. Like, all of you kings are super solid, and every one of you are saying, like, despite my situation, regardless of my situation, I'm still gonna be great. I'm still gonna be somebody. I'm still gonna be a legend. But let's create a platform that it ain't even just about us. Let's go have guests that share their experience. Let's go share this insight to go change the world. So that's why I salute you, kings, because everybody can focus on their own empire, but the legends, they build their empire while looking over to the right and the left and say, okay, king, lay that brick right there. If you lay that brick right there, and you lay that brick right there, in 5 years from now, we both gonna have, all three of us gonna have mansions. Now that's what legendary work is about, from my humble opinion.
Now let me say
shout out to
this, right?
brick that just laid on the SoundMinds podcast right now. We just laid a brick for real.
Yo, and Leonard said male by birth, men by choice. You know what I'm saying? Echo Leader 1, what up, ACO, SoundMinds? Getting ready for the SoundMinds reunion. The family start to shine bright out this constellation. Yo, now let me say this, brother. I can't even accept too much credit because I'm on my job. I can't accept too much credit. And one thing I noticed is I went down and met with some of the veterans of the civil rights movement, right? Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the Black Panthers and stuff like that. And it was so humbling because when I would ask them questions about what happened back in the day, these are people that in some cases was giving advice to Martin Luther King when he was scared. You know what I mean? People that in the masses we look at as they was the leader, but you realize there's a whole movement of people. But some of these most heavy people, these bricklayers, was like mad humble about themselves. And it was like one thing I started a debate was like, yo, this is an information era, and what a lot of people don't realize, I hate to tell y'all this, we're not even in the age of information. We haven't been in the age of information for like a decade. We're in the age of attention, because when information is given to people and more people can read and write, not everybody yet, but a critical mass of people can read and write and decide political and religious views, there's something called information overload, right? And analysis paralysis. So the power in the information overload era becomes a new era of the era of attention, right? Which is brothers like you. When you get on the mic, you command the stage. People don't, it's not just your information. They could Google the information, but again, the congruence with which you say it and live it and show it with your family and your community hits people and makes them pay attention and take it seriously, right? This is what I noticed, and this is my one criticism to my elders.
You're talking about authority, King.
Authority that's granted to you, right? Not authority because I'm an authority, but authority of them seeing it's real, and you can't help but question, right? It maintains your attention. And the one thing that they said, the elders was like, you know, y'all got to do better than us in some ways. You can't just do what we did. Some things y'all got to learn from us that you haven't learned yet. Other things y'all got to do better. And the one thing I told them is y'all don't understand social media. Y'all don't understand when it comes to people who are trying to tell your story and take the torch and pass it. We need to know the story, because we got professors who wasn't there teaching the wrong story. We got marketers who wasn't there teaching the wrong story. And then we got white supremacists who was there or wasn't there, who don't want your story and is telling your story, right? So one thing I noticed is that a lot of us that are like meaningful, positive people, we always put ourselves back. And one thing I tell my brother Light and my brother Rashaman and my brother you, and I tell all my sisters and my brothers, it's like putting ourselves back. You're not the one that needs to put yourself back. Your story is one of grace and humility. How do we talk about that balance? You just hit me when you was talking about it. How do we talk about the balance? Not stepping back all the way and not putting ourselves forward all the way, but like shining strong together and telling our story, not cutting ourselves out of it, but not cutting other people. How do we get that balance, King?
Great question. I'm still stuck on Brother Light when he was talking about influence and impact. Because if we're talking about leadership and we're talking about having greater change, it does start with influence. It does start with impact, right? It's that acceptance, right? In order for you to really want to change, you have to be willing. There's a lot of qualified people that's not willing to step up. There's a lot of marathon or relay runners that can help us win, but they're not willing to accept the baton. Then you got some other OGs, triple OGs, who it's time for them to pass the baton, but they're not willing to. So the four of us, we have said we're willing to be part of the change. If you are a game changer, if you have knowledge of self, if you know that you are somebody, if you have identified your purpose, then you got to be willing to take the next step. So then also after you do that in regards to accepting the responsibilities of being a leader, being a king, being a queen, and everything that come with it, those are the lessons and blessings. Now, what you're talking about is balance and being holistically wealthy. So this is the season of bag talk. But I'm challenging that narrative because I know a lot of financially wealthy people, but they emotionally broke, spiritually broke, relationally broke, personally broke. But you got the latest of the latest. Now, I salute the currency, but I value a king and queen who knows who she is, who all the way in her purpose, who's impacting lives, and she got a bag. Now we talking. But sometimes we hide behind the V. We hide behind the neighborhood you live in. We hide behind the degree. We hide behind that. Yeah, that ain't who you are. That's what you accomplished. When you can tell me who you are and the lives that you've impacted and the lives that you've changed, and you all the way up in your purpose and your spirit is righteous and you got a bag. Let's go. Let's go. I'm not impressed with the bag. I'm not impressed with it. I'm not. So when you talk about balance, the meaningful areas of your life, mental sanity, the battles in your mind, like what thoughts do you have based on what we talked about when you're going through the storm, when you're in the jungle, when you're on rock bottom, what thoughts do you have, right? When emotionally, when you get disappointed, when you don't get the job, when they don't call you back and you emotionally feel disqualified, like what do you do to override those emotions, right? That's balance, right? With purpose. Like, yeah, keep working. Like that's a job. Keep going to the job.
So you mean in terms of breathing, like having routines to calm down and get in control of yourself, just on that point right there.
I'm coming.
Like
so
meditation.
The prayer, the meditation, the chakras, like whatever that is for you. But a lot of people got to figure out what their thing is, because I'm Mr. Hard within my grind. I know that I got to take care of myself by pressing pause to life, by turning off my phone, by doing prayer and meditation, by silencing the noise, because sometimes based on even what you saying with that information overload, I love my mentors, OG Jakes and the pastors, and even from the moguls, but sometimes you got to pause all that to create your own perspective. Yes, it's good to know a quote, but what's your quote? Yes, it's good, right? If you in the word and you know the word, great. But how does that apply to your life? Don't just give me the scripture. The scripture, it gotta be relevant to your situation, right? So when you disconnect and you press pause and you're able to actually hear yourself thoughts, sometimes most people can't check themselves about what they're thinking because they don't never stop time to actually reflect on what they're thinking. So like if you go a whole day or two and you're thinking negative thoughts, and you silence all of the music, you silence all of the podcasts, you silence everything, eventually you'll start hearing yourself and what you're thinking. And then you can override that by saying, man, like I am somebody. Man, I am qualified. I might not be where I want to be, but if I create systems and habits and I work those things consistently, I'll start seeing change. That's how you start overriding the mental, right? So the meditation is important. The prayer is important, right? And then back to the balance. Identify your mental balance, identifying your spiritual balance, identifying your personal balance, identifying your relational balance, identifying your health and wellness balance, right? Identifying your career balance. I know people who go super hard for their career, but they super weak when it comes to meaningful relationships. I know people who go super hard in the gym, be in the gym 6 hours. Don't got no time for themselves. Don't got no time for your personal resume. I know people who are superheroes for everybody else, but struggle to be a superhero for themselves. You don't want me to keep going. Let me stop.
No, nah, you hurting my feelings. Like that's me. Like, what would be a starting point for that? Like, I find that like when I'm going in on something, I'm like a master of it at that moment. You know what I mean? But then other things might fall by the wayside. But I'm like, okay, I need to choose what's really important. You know, my relationship with my wife, being a dad, a husband. My poetry is my craft, choosing my words. People expect me to come and mediate conflicts. Those three main things are my things. But then I got these other projects that go to the back burner. You know what I'm saying? And there I put one of those to the front burner for a week or two. All my other back burners go way back. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, don't tell anybody this, SoundMinds podcast. I'm a musical artist, right? Since Light knows how long I've been a musical artist. I just copyrighted my first group of songs ever. I never registered copyrights before. Like, how do I mean? First is admitting, thank you, but like, I'm starting to admit it. But how do we take those things when we know we could go really good in one area, but then the others fall by the wayside? Because that's me. I'm gonna be honest with you.
What's most important, and at what cost will you make it to your finish line? But it's not if you make it, or when you make it to your finish line, how will you make it to your finish line, right? And so when you're thinking about what areas do you value in regards to balance, I can't tell you those meaningful areas, but you know. Everyone who's listening to us, like you know what areas you value, and you know how much time and attention you're giving it to it. And sometimes we live that lie and we push it off and we push it off. And then how about this? When it comes to balance, it's just seasons. And this season you might go crazy hard within the podcast, and then in another season you might go crazy hard within your meaningful relationships, and another season you might go crazy hard for you. Right. So it's from season to season. That's how you get balance. But to just go crazy hard for the next 20 years within your career, but at the expense of losing meaningful relationships, at the expense of losing your health and wellness, at the expense of losing knowledge of self, was it really worth it? And I saw somebody ask me, who made me mad, when you're passionate about something, when you care about something, when you get, like, a lot of people could get turned up, but about irrelevant things. When it comes to me seeing people grow, when it comes to me igniting a passion within somebody, a fire within somebody, I can't do that from yeah, King, go ahead and be great. And, you know, I was successful. And that ain't me. You got to know who you are. And me, that ain't me. So if you want somebody who going, hey, these are the principles of success, and you got to go somewhere else. But if you want that fire lit, and you want that passion lit, and that stick of dynamite lit for you to say, let's go, I'm the one. Let's go. And I ain't mad, I'm blessed.
And on top of that, I'm gonna be real big. Like, that's Tremaine. We might have to add you to the podcast, brother. We might have to have you as a fourth member on here. Man. Listen, man. I'm a love, man. You know what's crazy? You talked about, right? And I think a lot of times those who live a lie are afraid of the truth. So they will never self-reflect, because once you get a moment of being able to think about the cornball that you really are, that's when you have to deal with those other thoughts, right? Like it's just kind of like, so for the most part, man, if somebody is really ugly and they know it, but they put enough makeup on their face, they're gonna always live that lie and try to live the rest of their life putting makeup on. But once that makeup starts to drip in the rain, or you got a little water in yourself, and then now what you do is you're afraid to look in the mirror because that self-image is no longer pleasing and appeasing to you because it's no longer the truth. You know what I'm saying? But the truth that we all know it's not the truth that we all should. So what I say that is, when you talk about people that live lies, right? You're a character. You become nothing more than a mirage of an image that you want to portray. And then what happens is that when people start to pull your card and say, yo, hold on, that ain't even you, Scrap. I've never seen you talk that crazy. You know what I mean? But when somebody says, yo, who made you mad? It's more so based off of the fact that they themselves love the energy. They just don't know how to get it out of themselves. And at the end of the day, when they feel inspired, when they feel fire lit, it's just like, yo, who made you mad? Now, it's really the question is, who's not making you mad enough to be passionate about what you're passionate about?
Come
you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I got to ask you, brother, there's a lot of people who are going through trials, tribulations, souls and spirits that are being outweighed by the masses of the drama that's going on, man. We are currently under a pandemic. We are currently under a whole bunch of other things going on, right? And when that happens,
come on, hurry up.
2020 is already killing us crazy. How do you motivate those who spiritually have been touched, who spiritually feel like their spirits have been torched to the flames, and they don't necessarily know how to motivate themselves?
You can lead them to the water, but you can't make them drink it. You gotta want to change. You gotta want to be better. You gotta want to get better. You gotta say enough is enough. You gotta say I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Once you do that, anything is possible. But if you like, King, I got it, and it's good for you, and it sound good, I can lead you here. I can tell you that passion can ignite something that transforms your purpose. I can tell you that. But when you say, King, like, I'm tired of just going to a job, I want to start serving and working, I want to be in my purpose, then we can get to it. When you can say, I'm tired of just going through the motions, but I know that there's something inside of me, and I'm tired of not lighting that log of greatness, then we can get to it. Right? So I'm showing you off example. And then if you're open and willing to grow and change, and you're humble enough to learn from anybody, even me, even the home. I learned from the homeless, King. I learned what not to do, what to do. You see what I'm saying? So then I learned from the CEO. And then I pour that back out. Right? That's how we grow. So even within this journey of like people, like, you got to be ready for change. You got to be woke enough to say, you know what? My situation is the bottom of the bucket, or my situation is good, but it can be greater. But I'm woke enough to be aware and cognizant of what's going on. And then you got to be inspired enough to want more. Some people are complacent enough to say, well, I'm good, but what's going to make you great? You were created to do great things. And if you say, look, my situation is great, what's legendary? And if we're always striving to progress, everybody can get better. So the motivation, I love what, all of Zig Ziglar says, motivation is like a shower. Yeah, my morale is up now. Let's go. But what about tomorrow? Am I still, guess what? Take another shower. Get another dose of motivation. But I guess what? Even when your motivation ain't on 1,000, when you identify your purpose, that's going to push you and pull you through. You feel me? But so many people.
I got a question on that.
Come on, let's do it.
Yes. So, like, one thing I tell with the youth when we mentoring, and Rod know this, I tell them, how many of y'all brushed your teeth today? And sometimes it's hard to get kids to be engaged, but for some reason, when we go into schools, they be engaged. So I ask them, how many brush your teeth? They all be like, and then be that one person that don't want to answer. They just be like acting like they didn't hear. And that's the type of question where we be like, I'm sorry, sir, what's your name? Did you hear the question? All the kids turn around. You didn't brush your teeth today. So everybody said, and then we said, how many of y'all brushed your teeth yesterday? Everybody, even the one that's trying to be the clown, right? And then I ask a question. I say, I'm not a fortune teller. I can't predict the future. But how many of y'all know beyond a shadow of a doubt, without predicting the future, that you're going to brush your teeth tomorrow? And they all raise their hands, right? So it's like, what is this issue where sometimes we're taught to feel stupid if we do something more than once? I would say if it works and it's successful, it's stupid not to do it more than once. In fact, if you find someone that's worth spending your life with, you do the same thing you did to get with them in the first place. If you decide to be a parent, you get to do that for the rest of your life. You get to wake up and not have to find kids and learn these kids and know what their challenges is. You get them, right? What is there a way where we're being taught, or we could be untaught, not to think there's a stigma with doing something more than once, when most of our success comes from finding things that work and doing them more than once?
Repetition. You're talking about repetition.
Repetition.
You're talking about repetition. You're talking about consistency. And you Google any successful person that you salute, and the common thing is they found out what worked and they was consistent with that thing. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Oprah Winfrey, anybody who's successful in their lane, they've been consistent, right? So success is strategic. And you say, okay, what didn't work, and even if it's giving me slow rest, I'm gonna continue to work that thing till I see major progress. But sometimes we don't put in enough work to be able to see any results. So then we on to the next. No, Mr. Hard work grind is about working so hard for what you desire to the point that you see and experience something great. I'm only the solid king that I am is because I'm working on it day by day. So I'm certain things I'm like, oh, that ain't work. That ain't work because I'm spiritually not where I need to be. So that ain't work. So I gotta try something new. But then the stuff that's getting me charged up, the stuff that's getting me stronger from the inside out, those are the things that I hold on to. Meaningful relationships. I'm not saying like no new friends, but I gotta realize what works in relationships. So I got some solid A1s and then I got some solid new. But one thing is for sure, all of my solid friends have certain things in common, right? They ain't perfect. But they're willing to value me as I am, right? I'm willing to value them. We're willing to be vulnerable. We're willing to trust each other, right? We're willing to have some form of purpose, or at least in pursuit of purpose, right? So we have certain commonalities: repetition, consistency, commonalities, success, growth at minimal.
What's one advice would Tremaine now say to Tremaine in his
Great
teens?
job. Great question. Keep going. Keep going. Like what you think you know, you don't know. Keep going. So at 18, I wasn't the gritty grimy. I was just a young king who made some good decisions and made some poor decisions. Right? I didn't know who I was. I didn't know I wanted to be an empowerment leader, but I knew that I knew right from wrong. Right, and whatever endeavor I was in, whether working at McDonald's, TJ Maxx, Kmart, if you knew anything about that, like whatever job, it was like just do your best, be a good person. That's what I preach to my children. Be good people. So Tremaine, like keep going, continue being a good person, continue to explore, continue to be open-minded, continue to love yourself and others. Always love myself, always have myself together. All my homies, I was like the cool student athlete, pretty boy. I didn't do the saggy, but I did the straight leg. Like I kept it together, right? So young Trey, like keep going, keep growing, stay open-minded to life, learn your lessons, continue to live life through love, and do your best. And let the chips fall where they may.
Powerful. We coming up onto the hour and 10-minute mark. And
Facts.
I want to
Facts with momentum.
fast. This
With momentum. Sound minds.
Sound Minds, man. We can go all night, man. I'm telling you right now with this episode right here. Here's a question though that I want to, come bring it to, where because you are an empowerment leader, a motivational speaker, and when I look at your videos, you speaking in front of the youth. We've even done an event together speaking in front of the youth, and just even looking at your videos with you speaking to football players, young football players, like the connection there, the comfortability there. It's like everybody there, even though you don't, maybe possibly don't, but it feels like everybody there. It feels like those kids when you're talking to those children, and I know that motivational speaking is your profession, but I want to ask you, because you're giving motivation, but do you get more motivation out of what you do when you're doing, especially when you're in front of those children? Like, do you get more motivation for yourself just by doing that? Just by being that motivational speaker to them?
Great question. My lifestyle blessed me because what it did was it held me accountable. So from my first job working with youth, straight out of college, so I graduated 2007, whatever day in May. The next day after I walked off the stage, I got really into my purpose. The next day, I wasn't like, let me go on vacation. I just graduated. It was like I had already.
It's breaking up.
Right after I walk off the stage,
it's breaking up. It's breaking up, Tremaine. Are you connected to your Wi-Fi? You connected to that Wi-Fi, right?
Here.
Oh, you
on that Bluetooth?
We gonna
all right.
Strong.
Let's go.
George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, round 15. Let's get to it. Right?
Let's go.
Hour and 11 minutes and 42 seconds. Let's go. So
you back.
My lifestyle held me accountable. As a mentor that held me accountable, as a youth leader that held me accountable, as a coach that held me accountable, as a motivational speaker that held me accountable, as an empowerment leader that held me accountable. And guess what? I still got it wrong. Vulnerable moment. But my purpose pulled me through and said, Tremaine is bigger than you. Yeah, go. Even in your storm, even while you figuring it out, don't forget what I called you to do. While I'm getting you right, still go get them right. While I'm getting now, if you stop and you stay in the mud and you stay in darkness and you don't serve, that's a lose-lose. But if you're willing to go serve and bring light to the people and you trust in me, I'm gonna get you right. And by the time you come out of this darkness, look how many other people you're gonna have already brought to the light. So yes, my purpose and motivational speaking in my career, it has held me accountable. In addition to that, it's draining. It's draining. Do you think this? I'm about to go shut down after this because the energy that you pour out right within your purpose, within your career, especially when you all the way in, it should drain you. Like, I don't know any league dudes who go play in the NFL and like they give it all they have. And then after the game, they're like, oh, okay, what's next? Woo! Like, you should have any boxer. If you just giving all you had in the ring, ain't no turn up after that. It's like, whoa, I gave all I have. So as a motivational speaker, yes, it's draining. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's challenging. However, that's what I was called to do. So I go recharge. I tap into my team. I tap into my network. I go listen to other encouraging speakers. Or, you know what? I don't do anything. Or I do, and I'm giving y'all a game, or I go do things for Tremaine. So I love sports. So you know what? When I'm not empowering people, I got to go find my other sources of inspiration, whether it's through the culture of music, whether it's through entertainment and athletics, whether it's through listening to audios and podcasts. I got to go figure out other ways to pour back into me after I pour out into the world.
Tremaine, I got a quick question.
Wait, before you ask that one, let's get the chat question. We got one last question from the chat.
Oh, y'all gonna do me
Tremaine,
like that? I gotta follow Leonard hands. Let's go.
Yes, let's go. So, what would you want said at your eulogy? Wow. Tremaine, your purpose is evidently deep. So, with that being said, what would you want said at your eulogy? Woo, he went deep.
Tremaine France was a solid king. He was humble yet confident in who he was. He impacted my life through love and positivity. He spoke life into me. It was his character that I saluted. It was his genuineness, his authenticity. It was his ability to meet me wherever I was at in life. And we grew from there that really changed my life. It wasn't that, he looked the part. It wasn't that he had the nice car. It wasn't that he had the nice home. It wasn't that he had 50,000 in the bank for a rainy day. It was the fact that he had positive impact and influence in my life, and it helped not only make me better, but it changed my perspective on life to the point that now I'm changing other people's lives for the greater. That can't touch me that way. Let's go.
Let's go, Ashe. Amen.
Yeah.
That. Let's go. SoundMinds.
SoundMinds, man. Yo, SoundMinds to the questions too, man. SoundMinds to all the questions, because truth of the matter is, right, and this is what I keep saying. The beauty of the live is that we actually get that full blown flash out. So we here live, we breathe in the same air and energy. You know what I mean? Like when you, no disrespect to those watching the replay, go watch the replay, please, and tell other people about the replay. But the reason why we want you on these lives is because of this. We want you in that same vein while we sit here. We're trying to build. So when we're building, we can't build on replays alone. So please go watch replays, but at the same time, please try to be here for the live. Now I got a question for you.
Some of y'all have a friend.
Shout out.
Some of y'all have a family member. Some of y'all have an acquaintance. Some of y'all don't know how to talk to this person, but you want to tell them some of this information we give it every week. Do me a favor. Find a time to write down SoundMindsHipHop.com. Text them, and don't just text them like some spam, you know what I mean? But text them, say, hey, I thought of you. Please watch this show. I thought
1,000.
Let me know. This is something we could talk about. This show isn't just like an entertainment channel. This show is made to help bridge gaps between people talking. You might see your friend post something on the screen, and now y'all talk about it during the week. You might say, oh, this young man Tremaine said such and such, and that made me think about you in a positive. You get what I'm saying? Please take 3 minutes, find 3 minutes, and just share this with someone and say, follow this podcast. SoundMindsHipHop.com.
SoundMinds to that.
It's absolutely free. Like Tremaine said, it's not making us rich and wealthy. It's making us feel like we are doing our part to bridge communities and discussions. And all we trying to do is post y'all comments with these brilliant guests on here. You feel me?
Right. 1,000.
Just get one person this week. That's all we ask.
I want
Tremaine,
to skip
real
past
quick
that
question
so quickly, though. I don't want to skip past that question so quickly because it really just opened up a gate. The that question was so deep, and I just want to salute my brother right now for handling that question the way that he handled that question. Okay, because the for you to have to sit there and think about when you leave this third dimension. You feel me? And reflect on what you want said about you. That's also the most realest moment to yourself, to understand what you are leaving behind, what legacy you are leaving behind, what example you are leaving behind. And you speak that into existence just now. You spoke that into existence just now. And you will continue to be the living example of that, all the way up until then. You know what I mean? Because you've already set that. And that literally is exactly what we've been talking about all show. You know what I mean? Setting your mind state to the greatness that you want to be. You know what I mean? That legacy you want to leave. Setting that it all starts with self. You have to even say what is going to be said about me when I am now in the next dimensions. You know what I'm saying? When I made my transition, what is going to be said about me? That right there, you also have to stand on that. You have to now, be accountable for that. That's the one thing that you want to be accountable on a personal level, because ain't nobody else thinking about your passing but you. But you. Only you can think about that. And you can say for your own self, well, this is the legacy I want to leave behind. This is what I want to be said about me.
And you said spoke life into us. Like, so in addition to what's being said about you, you spoke about what you want people to be able to continue living with.
Yes. Like I said, the legacy.
The legacy.
The legacy.
And with that being
And
said,
it's
that
intent,
leads into
Kings,
this
it's
next
intent.
question.
I know. Go ahead, brother. Like, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Build on that.
Yeah.
Build on that.
Nah, build on that. Go ahead.
No, I'm not. Go ahead. Yeah, come on.
You have spoken to many. You have spoken to thousands. You got a whole bunch of followers on IG, and not that, shout out to you for that. But of course, that in this current world is the most important thing to most, right? So what I'm saying is, no matter what platform or what area they got to check you on, you hitting all those boxes, right? I could only imagine you spoke to thousands of people. I got to ask you, why is it important for the message that you leave to the youth, and especially you working with the youth? Why is it important that everything that we do, that the youth see, hear, and for the most part feel from us? Why is there importance and cadence to that?
That's my responsibility, King. Like, that's my responsibility, King. Like, if we talking superheroes, I'm a superhero, King. And my responsibility is to fight back and be an example and to be a solution, King. I can easily talk about all of the toxicities of the world. I can easily talk about what the music industry does. I can easily talk about all of the wrongs, but I could also take my power, and bring light to it. So yeah, if I value what y'all do, our young babies, our young kings and young queens, it's my obligation to say, you might get a source of negativity over here, but if we ever cross paths, I'm going to be that light. I'm going to speak life. I'm going to be that example. I'm going to remind you that you a young king. I'm going to remind you that you a young queen. I'm going to remind you that it's important and vital to dream and put in the work and grow and learn along the way, because that's living. Now, if you choose to take another route and you want to go down death and destruction, right? Okay. But if we ever cross paths, you're never going to be able to say, Tremaine France, Mr. Hardwork Grind, he didn't say, let's go. He didn't encourage you. He didn't inspire you. He didn't remind you of your worth. He didn't remind you why it's necessary to keep going and keep growing. He didn't remind you why together we win. Right now, I'm no better than nobody else, but I'm telling you that if more of us take hold of our responsibility of being superheroes and bringing light to the people, your way, I don't gotta come up here next week and none of y'all be on 1,000 like this. But you gotta know your thing. You gotta know your gift. And if your gift is to do it in a monotone way, then do that. If your gift is silent, but how about this? Sometimes people got that turn up in them, but they're not confident enough to let that lion roar. I'm here to say, young king, young queen, older queen, let your voice be heard your way. And if it's passionate like this, let's go. If it's through serving and just saying, look, call me, I'll pray with you, do that. If it's by saying, hey, call me and we can meditate together, do that. If it's by saying, hey, let's go read a book together, do that. Find your way of being part of the solution, and that's how we'll start seeing more of the change. This is just my way of doing it, Kings.
This is going to be my last question of the day, and it basically ties into what you said. Your frequency amplitude damn near shut down the technology several times tonight, as you witnessed. But no matter what, you restarted your computer, you changed your Bluetooth, you had your team and your kingdom working together. Like, You made it work, but your amplitude, your frequency is too much for the regular technology. Now, me, people know when you see a picture of me, it's crowd surfing. I It's hard for me to believe I'm this many months out without jumping off a stage, right? So you could only imagine that people want to see you in person and just be in that energy and go with that motivation live. So many of us thrive on. How can we, like said, you rocking Instagram, you rocking the podcast, you doing the virtual gigs, you not having an excuse because of these shutdowns. How can you start to answer it? I just want to give you a runway to go further in it. How can people, if they're visual artists, if they are rap artists like us, if they're a photographer, what would be the first step you tell them? Look, no, you can't get that out there in person right now. But if you have a craft, what would be like your first 3 steps to tell them this is what I want y'all young people to do with the internet right now, instead of giving up and saying, oh, I can't get a job now, or I got COVID now, or this and that? What 3 things could they do to make sure they're reaching an audience? Because sometimes now you can reach more people than ever through the internet if you think about it that way. What would be your 3 steps for people who do have a talent but feel like they can't reach people right now in the pandemic?
Great job and great question. First thing is put pen and pad to it. What gets measured, get done. So how many people want to write a book, but they ain't hold themselves accountable to it? So put pen and pad to whatever your gift or your talent is, whether it's music, artistry, poetry. Like, okay, let's come up with a system, right? Let's come up with a game plan, whether that's a weekly, like, okay, I'm about to write 3 times this week. Put pen and pad to it, because up here, so much happens. But if you put pen and pad to it and then you put it on your calendar, you can hold yourself accountable, right? Then the second thing is be specific. So don't just write down, I'm about to write. What days you're going to write, what you're going to write about, what time you're going to write, right? Be specific. And then even with the platforms, be specific with what platforms you're going to share it on. Well, I'm going to just be on social media. No, are you going to create a presence on LinkedIn? Are you going to create a presence on Facebook? Are you going to create a presence on YouTube or on Facebook or IG? Be specific, right? Because after you write it down, after you create your system, and then you're specific, last thing, I'm going to give you the 4th one, be consistent and committed about it, right? Be consistent with it. You do those 4 things, you're going to see progress. But if you didn't put pen and pad to it, it ain't happening, first off. Once in a while it'll happen, once in a blue moon, right? And then if you don't have no system, like, oh, and you're not specific with your system and you're not committed and consistent with it, it ain't going to happen. And you won't see progress. And if you do, it'll be the slow progress when you were intended to see greater progress.
SoundMinds to that.
SoundMinds.
That right there was
I know we about to get to I know we about to end it like this. Can I do something for the people? Because we give them a lot.
Of course.
Team Destined for Greatness. I know that we did best to bless you and bring insight that would encourage you, that will enlighten you, that will open up your mind and even challenge you. Sometimes this passion is from like that coach that's going to be passionate to want to win with you. So the passion that you experienced today was just because, it was created for me to share it that way in a manner that encourage you to appreciate where you're at, but also realize that if you put in the work, you can progress in your mental, you can progress in your emotional, you can progress in your spiritual, you can progress in your personal, you can progress in your physical, you can progress in your financial, right? So this passion was intended to ignite a fire in you to say, you know what? If I'm breathing and I'm listening to SoundMinds, you know what? I can get better. You know what? I can love on my wife or my significant other a little bit more. I can love up on my children a little bit more. I can love up on me a little bit more. I can grind a little bit harder and grind a little bit smarter. And in due time, my legacy will be based on the life that I've lived. See, when you talked about the eulogy, the best thing about that part is the fact that what that did was it held me responsible to the now. My life is meaningful because I'm thinking with the end in mind already. When I meet you at the gym, I'm living with the end in mind. So when I meet you as peace king, peace queen is love. When I meet you at the gas station, I'm thinking about how if we never cross paths again, and you saw my picture, what thoughts cross your mind? I need you to think about somebody who you value right now, who's super dope to you. Think about them. That person should have created some form of a feel-good thought in you. That's what I want to do. If you challenge yourself to leave that positive impression in somebody else's life, that's being part of the change, regardless of how successful society says you are. You need to know that you are successful. You need to know that you are somebody. You need to know that you deserve the limitless blessings of the world. You are a king. You are a queen. You are somebody. Never forget that you are somebody, and never allow anyone to devalue you or take your crown off you. Put in the work, believe in yourself, find your purpose, and stick at it. Be consistent and committed with this thing called greatness. And in due time, you will see the change that we pray to see. Let's go. Let's go.
SoundMinds.
SoundMinds.
SoundMinds. Let's go. Let's go.
Now, Tremaine, you have been a blessing, brother. You have been a blessing on this Sunday evening, man. You know what I mean? We and especially honestly speaking, timing is of all things, right? And you know, truth of the matter is, man, we about to go into a day in which, you know, celebrated or not for the wrong reasons or not, man. I don't really care about the name of it, but I ain't even gonna get into that. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, we getting into family time. We getting into seeing old friends and all that and old family. And unfortunately, it may be a little different for many of us this year. You know what I mean? Many of us may not see the people that we seen last year because we lost them, or we can't physically see them because now, you know, this pandemic has us all locked in the box, right? But I think the message, the gems that you dropped today, and your vibration, your energy was so needed, because we all need to learn how to be better and do better for those that expect better. You know what I'm saying? And for those that deserve better. So truth of the matter is, as we go into this next week coming up, man, I think that what you had to say, everything you said it, and the way you said it, the passion that you exuded, was only so much more needed for the times that we about to go into coming to this week. So double salute to you, brother. I thank you, man, for even blessing us with your presence. You know what I mean? Your presence is a gift, King.
Can you let the family know where we can find you, your merch, your book, you know, your videos, your content, and how to book you?
Yes, I can. Just like Brother Light said, this is a perfect season to be thankful and grateful, to have gratitude. I don't care about the historical theme. Every day is Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you got a reason to have gratitude for your breath of life. Every day. You got family, that's a blessing. That's the reason to be thankful. You got a loved one, that's a reason to be thankful. You have purpose, that's thankful. You have health, that's a reason to be thankful. List goes on. So this is a perfect season, a perfect time to be thankful, grateful, and have gratitude for what you have received, which is your blessing. If you want to stay connected with me, I'm on Instagram, IG, Mr_hard_work_grind. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook as Tremaine France. I'm on YouTube. Go to just search engine Tremaine France. And that's the best. Those are the best ways to stay connected. If you want a free consultation about accountability coaching, empowerment coaching, all you got to do is put in www.hardworkgrind.com, and we'll set up that free consultation. Figure out how we can add value to each other. Figure out what areas need balance. Figure out what areas are super solid, and figure out how we can win together. Let's go. Let's go.
Yo, the fact that you said figure out how we can add value to each other. Ken, you talking on a whole different frequency, man. I'm gonna be the first to tell you, this selfish world in which we live in is always thinking about how they can get and gain value. I was just talking, I put up a quick live, man, and I think everybody who's watching this and everybody who watches the replay, please go on YouTube and check out. There's an old children's book called The Giving Tree. Please watch that on YouTube and understand the value that you give to others and the value that you allow people to take from you can take to the point of non-existence. So understand how to be the taker and be the giver at the same time. But never should you be just one. And this goes on with every relationship that you in. You know what I mean? It's 50-50 supposedly for all relationships, but it's not only in marriage. It's also in your relationship with your children and your relationship with your peers and your brothers and your sisters and so on and so forth. So thank you for that, King. Thank you for being able to speak on a higher frequency. Most people don't understand. They hitting the ceiling of potential, which is so low, but they again, the flesh. Everybody's trying to fulfill the flesh.
Stop it, bro. Stop it. Because I'm trying to respect y'all time frame. I'm trying to respect the process. But the blessings be coming from when you adding value to other people. Like, you don't know what that do for me to be able to bless somebody. You know how many consultations I get? 45 minutes, and we breaking down somebody's goals and somebody's purpose, and they get up and they be like, right now it might not make sense, is I get it, King, and might not be able to afford the program. I'm like, all right, well, as long as you got blessed, this my blessing. My blessings come from above. This is my blessing. I've been blessed. You know what I mean? How many times I've shared insight and invested time into people and nothing off the arm. But that's why in my heart I'm super successful. That's why in my heart I'm super solid. That's why in my heart I'm super whole, because I'm blessing people and I'm like, I'm gonna get mine. And that's why when we do that, every now and then the universe give you stuff that you like, how about? Well, because paid it forward. And you got yours on the back end. Something that you blessed somebody 10 years ago, and now you got your blessing today. Thank you. Keep it pushing.
That's that treasure chest.
That's
that treasure chest. So with that being said, so listen, I made the first announcement. So Rap Poet asked me a question, and I'm gonna make it very clear. So yes, I am looking for animators. I am looking for somebody to animate a video, and I am looking for artists. And an artist who's gonna it's a series of 5 books right now that could go up to 10 books, and I'm talking on the higher frequency of getting into Netflix or Hulu shows. And this is more than just a book. So I'm just looking for more than an artist. So to answer Rap Poet's question, is this a paid gig? Yes, it could definitely be, but at the same time, it's a marathon with me, and I'm trying to get you published. I'm trying to have you being a published artist with the work that I put in regards to animation. I'm trying to change the world with all these things. So that's the first announcement. The second announcement, very big announcement. Next episode is the one you want to be here for. Next episode will explain and give the historic history behind who SoundMinds is, because we having a SoundMinds reunion, and we're bringing in not all SoundMinds, most of our SoundMinds members, most of our SoundMinds family. So we're gonna have lyricists, producers, dancers, anybody that you ever thought, damn, are they SoundMinds? They sound like they SoundMinds. You're gonna be introduced to who SoundMinds is. So the big announcement is we have a SoundMinds reunion. 7th episode. 7 is a major number, as we all know. That's God's number. 7th episode during the time in which we're celebrating families. So next Sunday, after you done ate and broke bread with your families, you're going to come join us with our family on Sunday. Be here at 7 o'clock, SoundMinds reunion. And we can't tell you how much we appreciate you throwing up that alley-oop, Tremaine, because we needed that energy, brother. Thank you. 1,000.
Yes. We just literally was blessed with the true motivational speaker. A true one. Why? Because it's not about what you see him doing to be motivating other people. This brother right here, this king right here, already knows that he is motivation. You know what I'm saying? He is a motivational speaker. He is motivating himself every day by working on himself every single day. And he literally gave us that breakdown in this episode, man. I want you to really set your eyes on, and if you're listening, just that you just heard a true motivational speaker, man. For real. Tremaine, man.
Y'all kings keep this going.
Yes.
Yo, but we can't end off regular though. We can't end off regular. We need to end off.
Hey, you know how we gotta end it off though. We gotta end it off with the
the planets need to collide. The planets need to collide.
Look, you in the constellation now, man.
So 1,000 or whatever you need.
You gotta like when we do this SoundMinds episode, we want you to tell all your followers, whoever's watching you, let them know that they're gonna see you chime in on the episode. All our previous guests are welcome to chime in on the episode, because even though we can only show like 4 or 5 on the screen at once, we gonna have a moment for all of y'all to shine. And you definitely just as bright as any star in the constellation as shown tonight. So we expect you to chime in at least for a second, 2 minutes, whatever. You part of the SoundMinds constellation we talking about.
1,000.
Definitely.
1,000. So in the count of 3, we gonna hit them off with the let's go, straight into sound minds, and we ended it like that because it's a must. When the planets collide, godliness happens. So you go with that, Tremaine? Because the let's go, that's you, brother. You know what I mean?
Do it.
Hey, let's go. All right. So 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Let's go. Sound
Sound minds.
Sound minds. Let's go. Let's go.
Hey, let's go.